Hey everyone, I'm Anthony BergerOn, and this is an all-new episode of BergerOn the Movies, where I discuss my favorite movies of all time and why I love them so much. However, in order to discuss these movies in depth, I'm going to have to include spoilers. So, if you haven't seen the movie we're talking about and you want to watch it without any preconceived notions, then definitely don't watch this until you have seen the movie. If you like these videos, go ahead and give my YouTube channel a subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. With all of that out of the way, let's get started with this week's episode, where I discuss my favorite movie of all time, Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. Vertigo is my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie of all time. It is about Jimmy Stewart, who plays John, or Scotty, a former cop detective who retired after his partner died while they were chasing after someone in the opening scene of the movie, which left him hanging off the side of a building and gave him acrophobia or vertigo. So now Jimmy Stewart has a very strong phobia of heights, even though his ex-fiancée, Midge, tries to help him out in one scene where she has him step on a step stool and he quickly gets dizzy and falls over. Midge clearly very much cares for him, and we can see that maybe he was struggling with being with her, but they're still very close. There was obviously something that got between them, but they're still very close and they see each other regularly. Scotty then meets up with someone named Gavin, a man who says his wife is acting very strange. And although Scotty is no longer doing detective work or anything of that nature, as a favor, he asks if he can follow his wife around and just keep an eye on her, because she's been talking a lot about a dead woman named Carlotta Valdez who took her own life. And he asks Scotty if he thinks possession is plausible in this situation.
Do you believe that someone out of the past, someone dead, can enter and take possession of a living being?
No.
Scotty reluctantly agrees to do it as a favor and starts following Madeline around. It is important to note that Madeline's color seems to be green in the movie. Green is all over the place. The first time he sees her, she's wearing green, and he gets a profile look at her. He starts to become obsessed with her the more he follows her around. He notices that she does seem to be inhibiting the traits of this Carlotta woman. There's a painting of Carlotta where she's wearing a necklace and she has her hair done and she has a bouquet of flowers, and Madeline is doing all of these things. She has her hair the same way, she has the flowers. So it's very odd, and Jimmy Stewart, or Scotty, starts to believe that she could be possessed, especially when she goes to the Golden Gate Bridge and tries to kill herself. He saves her, and they officially meet and start kindling a romance together. She definitely seems peculiar and does say very odd things, but Jimmy Stewart, or Scotty, I keep saying just Jimmy Stewart, Scotty is still becoming very obsessed with her. It isn't long before they get very close, and soon she says she has a dream about a mission that is up north that he knows about. So he says, let's go there so we can kind of face your demons and figure out what's going on with you. Once they get to the mission, she becomes infatuated with the tower. She asks to be alone for a second, and he quickly realizes that she's going to kill herself. So he tries to stop her. However, his fear of heights stops him from getting to her in time, and she jumps off the edge. So Madeline's dead, and they do the whole court trial, and there's this really cool dream sequence, actually, that shows kind of the state that Scotty is in mentally. He can't sleep. He's still obsessed with Madeline, even in death. So a year passes, and then he's walking down the street in San Francisco. This is where the whole movie's set, by the way. It's set in San Francisco. And San Francisco, 1958. And he's walking down the street, and he sees a woman that looks strikingly similar to Madeline, except she's a brunette. So he introduces himself to her. He says he knows he's seen her before. She says she's never seen him before, and her name is Judy.
Well, you've got a nerve. Follow me right into the hotel and up to my room. Now, you beat it. Go on and beat it.
He asks her out on a date. She obliges, and after he leaves, she turns to the camera and looks guilty. We find out via a letter that she's writing in narration that she was part of a murder plot to kill Gavin's wife. She was hired to act like Madeline and act crazy so that when she actually killed herself, it was believed. So Scotty was just used as a pawn for the court case and the trial and as a witness in this plot. Yet when she's done writing the note out of guilt, she just tears it up because she realizes she can't confess to this. And she starts to date Scotty. He is obsessed with Madeline no matter how much Judy tries to just be herself. He goes so far as to make her wear the exact same suit, the shoes, the gloves, the hair, having her do her makeup the exact same way. You can see that she's struggling with the fact that she was actually falling for Scotty during the first act of the movie. That is a lot of what her struggle was, is she probably loved him or started loving him, but she had to go along with this murder plot and knew that she could not love him like that. So as they start dating and Judy is trying to be herself, she notices that he is trying to create this image of this idea of this woman named Madeline, because she knows both sides of the story. So even when they're dating, he's looking around the room at blondes, and she realizes that she's never going to be this idea of a woman that he has, this Hitchcock blonde, which I think that there is a lot of Hitchcock in this character. I think a lot of Scotty is Alfred Hitchcock in a weird way. So as they're dating, you can see this fear in her that she might get also caught, because the more she looks like Madeline, the more she dresses up like Madeline again, the more he might notice and realize that this is the same woman. So now, with everything all peachy keen, they decide to go out on a date again. And while she's getting ready, she wears the Carlotta necklace by mistake. This immediately clicks with Scotty that he's been played, that this is the same woman. So he snaps and he drives her back to the mission without telling her where they're going. If it's Judy, then she wouldn't know anything about where they had gone before. She realizes something is wrong and tries to fight back, but he drags her up the top of the tower and kind of overcomes his fear of heights for once in this rage. They have this great moment where they both confess kind of, you know, their issues.
When I saw you again, I couldn't run away. I loved you so. I walked into danger and let you change me because I loved you and I wanted you. Scotty. Oh, Scotty, please. You love me now. Keep me safe. Please.
It's too late. It's too late. There's no bringing her back.
And then a nun steps out of the shadows and scares her, and she falls back off the tower to her death. And that's the end of the movie. So, you can kind of see why when this movie came out, it flopped. Because that ending is such a WTF. It's a tragedy, really. This movie is a tragedy because they both kind of were looking for happiness and love at the end, but the lies and the manipulation. I think this is one of the first true psychological thrillers of all time. I know it's one of the first movies to use computer-generated graphics with the opening sequence, but it's very smart. The title, Vertigo, him having vertigo, the metaphor for spiraling out of control and obsession when he meets Judy and tries to make her Madeline again, make her this image of a woman. So it is one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock. It is my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie. When I was a kid, I did not really appreciate this movie as much. Psycho was my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie. But as I grew up, I realized Vertigo was my absolute favorite. And it flopped in the movie theater. It was one of his biggest flops. It was before Psycho, and they almost didn't let him make Psycho because Vertigo did so poorly. This movie is amazing. It is so ahead of its time with its themes about love, obsession, making a partner this idea of something that does not exist. It was a fabrication. I love this movie just so much. It is so smart. Yes, it's a slow movie. It's very much a two-act movie. There's the first act where he is following Madeline around and becoming obsessed with her. And then there is the second act where he is with Judy. And they both are brilliant parts that would not work without the other half. If you haven't seen Vertigo, I'm sorry if I just ruined it for you, but you might appreciate it more knowing the twist. If you have seen it, what did you think? Let me know in the comments section below. What is your favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie? I will be doing a video soon about, I think, my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies in which order, but I'm not sure when I will do that just yet. Join me next week when I will be discussing another one of my favorite movies of all time. I would say this is top 5, American Beauty. Until then.